Hey y'all, happy Labor Day. It's Mark Masters. We are live, not from Denver. You can probably guess where I am. I don't see a guest. I'm guessing I kind of forgot today was Monday, and maybe my guest did as well. I've already reached out to remind them. If they're not here in like 15 seconds, we're going to do a short solo episode and we're going to move on. Just real quick, I have a new podcast. You should check it out on my channel. It's called Mark and Jake Try to Make It. It's me, a Denver-based, mostly clean comedian, and Big Jake Hovis, a Kentucky-based clean comedian, talking an hour a week. We have 4 episodes now, 4 hours of content there. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube. You can see the video if you want. Mark and Jake Try to Make It. I am gonna go out on a limb and say our guest is not making it. This is a solo episode. We're gonna go pretty quick. We're gonna do a world record short episode unless people have questions. Because as you can see, I am not in Denver and things are going on, but I can't point right now to save my life. I just went, this is kind of neat. I just went and saw a movie, The Wizard of Oz, at the Sphere. How cool is that? It was super fun. Definitely recommend it. Kind of neat, kind of cool. I have thoughts about it, but I don't really want to, I don't want to spoil it for people in any way. I'll just say that it was exciting and a unique experience. I have not been to the Sphere before. It was pretty cool. Let's see. We got a question online from North Carolina. Looking forward to Skankfest. I will be back. Oh, we do have a guest. Oh my gosh, he's here. We are doing this. All right, here we go. Joe, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. I actually took my kids to the Titanic, the submersion or immersion event in Denver, and we were just about to go into the VR thing, and I got the notification on my phone. I'm like, oh crap, and I was like, them there, and I ran home. I'm totally sorry. It was a holiday, and I
hope it didn't mess up your day.
No, it's all
I had a very similar experience to you. You missed it, but a couple minutes ago, I was like, I forgot today was Monday because it's a holiday, and I'm on holiday at the moment. And so I snuck away. So yeah, this is incredible. I don't know you real well, Joe. Let's just start with, hey, nice to meet you. I ran into you at Comedy Works. We chatted for a little bit, and I was like, do you want to do my pod? And now here you are. How was the Titanic thing? Was it cool?
It was pretty cool. I mean, it's always interesting, like you always wonder how much is pieced together reality, and but it's kind of a fascinating story when you think about it.
Did they lean into the ladies from Denver, right? The old lady, the main female protagonist. I think she's like Molly Brown might be her name, or I don't know. There's some kind of in the Colorado. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. They give you like a ticket or a thing that like you represent the passenger, and then at the end you find out if you died or not. So it's kind of weird.
How did you do? Did you make it?
I don't know, because I had to bail to come to this podcast.
I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness.
So I'll never know if I lived or died.
Are your kids floating on a boat on a door right now?
Yes. No, I paid for their the VR piece, and I was going to do that with them, and then we ran to the restroom real quick, and I was waiting for them to come out of the bathroom, and that's when I saw the notification.
Unbelievable.
And so yeah, they're doing that right now with the VR.
Oh, fun. Well, that's cool. Well, I don't know if you saw this, but I was just talking about, I just went to the Sphere. I'm in Las Vegas, and I went to see The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere.
The Sphere. I just saw an ad for that. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't want to spoil anything, but I would say it's worth doing. Although that's hard to say because it was not inexpensive, but it was pretty neat. Anyways, I think that kind of stuff is cool. Entertainment, we're comedians, we're selling tickets. We're all selling tickets, whether it's movies or comedy or whatever. We got a welcome Joe from North Carolina. We got a guest streaming.
Nice.
On Happy Labor Day to you, Mark and
North. So this is live.
This is live. Yeah, we take that's why we can't really delay it.
Gotcha.
So, anyways, Joe, you're a comedian in Denver, and tell us how long you've been doing comedy.
Just about 2 years now, actually. I
Okay, pretty
started a couple
new.
years ago. Yeah, I took Christy Buckley's class down there at Rise.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with her. She teaches a
Yeah,
comedy
I know
class
Christy
down there,
real
and,
well. Of course.
and that's how I got started. Yeah. So,
Nice. What would you say was the your best takeaway from that class now that you're 2 years in?
I think really just understanding joke structure, right? Like you see a lot of comedians that show up to open mics and they've never taken any class, they haven't read any books, and they just think they can get up there on stage and be funny. And you know as well as I do, there's so much more to that. There is a science behind why things make people laugh, and I think having that foundation and understanding that really helped a lot. Like word economy was something that I would have never thought about.
Yeah,
I
keep it
remember
short.
my first set was 6.5 minutes long, and I sat down with an experienced comedian, and she shredded it. It's about a minute and a half now, you know. So it's,
That's probably the right move. Probably the right move.
it's really hard though when you first start writing. You're like, no, I need all those words. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, you think
but
you do.
man,
It is kind of wild how you can. I'm going to relate this to the Wizard of Oz because the movie was shorter than the original. I hope that doesn't spoil it for anybody. But
no.
they did like cut things, and you could kind of feel it. It would jump like a little bit forward in the plot, and that's a lot like writing jokes. Like you don't need to. Like sometimes I feel like, well, they need to know I was at a hotel in Kansas City, and really they don't need to know that. That's
No.
not the funny part of the joke, and you can clip out so much, and you figure out by experimenting over time what facts can be removed
Yeah.
from a story and have it still be funny.
I actually had a joke that it always gets a laugh, and I don't even think it's that funny of a joke, but I removed a line that I didn't think served any purpose. And when I removed that line, the joke stopped working.
Mm.
And so when I put it back in, it always gets a laugh. It's not always a big laugh, but it always gets something. But when I took that line out that seemingly had no purpose,
Yeah, sometimes it's a rhythm thing too. There's like a rhythm to telling jokes, and I find sometimes when you remove things, even if it's not factually relevant to the punchline, or it doesn't build to the punchline, just the spacing between, maybe it's a misdirect, you said something, then you got another sentence, then you have the misdirect. You just need that length between them to line up.
and I've given a lot of thought. And in this case here, it's referencing my past drug addiction, which is like 25 years ago.
Okay.
And so I used to say, or I say for most of my 20s, I was addicted to crack. And when I removed that line for most of my 20s, it stopped working. And I think that because
You
of the
mean
way
you
I
said
look,
instead you said I was addicted to crack?
yeah, I was addicted. I used to be
I mean,
addicted
because
to
that's
crack.
funny. I almost laughed just then. Like, that's
But I
funny. Most of
think,
my 20s, I was addicted to crack, just like looking at you. And that's funny right there.
but I think that because of the way I look, maybe people don't, they think I'm talking about last year or something. And so it's
Mm,
not believable or
yeah.
something. That's
Well,
my
and just
theory. I
that
don't
is
know.
funny. Most of my 20s, it just invites questions. What does he mean? Like, what was he doing the rest of that? Was he a college professor? Like, that
I
is
gotta
kind of
work. I
hilarious.
gotta work
Because
that
if you
in there.
said in my 20s, I was addicted to crack, I don't think that's as funny as for most of my 20s, I was addicted to crack. That's funny because there's some ambiguity there and it invites questions. It's like, I want to hear more about you. You're interesting.
That's interesting. That's yeah. I haven't, like I said, I don't know the reason for it, but I know that I need that line in there, or it never gets anything.
Well,
So
that's why, I mean, people always ask, like, how do you figure out comedy? How do you get started? How do you get better? You just got to get on stage
yeah.
again and again and again, and you figure that stuff out. If you tell that joke 10 different rooms, 10 different spaces, you're gonna learn things like that. I need that line. It works. It helps the
Some
joke.
somebody once told me you remove words until the joke stops working, and then
Yeah,
back up a step.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's the way it is.
totally.
But yeah, it is. And now that I work, like sometimes I'll talk to newer comics and stuff that are just getting started, and if they want feedback, then I'll sit down with them and I'll go through it and I'll try to explain that. And it's not only that word economy, but oftentimes the funny word will be before the rest of the sentences. Like, put that there so that the funny word is at the ending. Like that's, little things like that you learn from classes and books and experience. But
Amazing. Okay, so the crack addiction is a good segue into you
you
run.
got any? No.
You run recovery shows, which I think is an interesting topic.
Yeah, so it's a show called Second Chance Comedy where we focus. Well, it used to be really heavily focused on addiction. I used to call it a stand-up comedy show about addiction. Now I call it. I've tried something different. I'm saying Second Chance Comedy presents We're All Doing Great and Other Lies, a stand-up comedy show about life's chaos.
Okay.
So because mental health and addiction they're tied together, So
Okay.
this
Now, did you do that because you had trouble booking enough recovering comedians, or
two things. One, yeah, there's definitely hard to find comics that are funny, have material on addiction, can be vulnerable and authentic on stage, and are affordable, right? Like finding those four criteria are really tough to find. So the list was pretty short. But the other thing I think I got the sense that people were looking at that and thinking, "Oh, I don't have anything to do with addiction, so I don't care about that show." So I was trying to attract a bigger audience.
so it's more about the audience and their interests? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I did a show. I co-produced this show. Me and a friend of mine, we were always joking about which one of us was our therapist's favorite. And one day we were having lunch and she said, we should do a show called I'm My Therapist's Favorite. I'm like, that's a great idea. So we booked the Louisville Underground. We sold it out. And so that got me thinking, why did this show sell so well when I'm struggling to get people to come to my shows?
Mental health it's part of the zeitgeist right now. It's very popular. I'm running Mountain Fresh Comedy Festival in October. It's the 1st of September right now, if you guys are watching this in the future. But middle of October, and we're screening a movie called Anxiety Club. It's through the lens of stand-up comedians who experience anxiety, like Mark Maron, Joe List, Mark Normand, Aparna Nancherla, Baron Vaughn, like all these kind of famous comedians, and how they navigate life and stand-up comedy with anxiety. And it's a really interesting film, how it reduces the stigma of talking about mental health issues. And I think comedy has a role in doing that.
And that's kind of what I want this show to be, is if we can share a story on stage that's relatable and someone in the audience might hold some shame around that, and we can all find a way to laugh about that together, like can be healing. It can be a little bit relieving of some of that shame. And that's kind of kind of the main mission of the show, was to do some of that. So
where was your very first recovery show? What was the venue?
Louisville Underground, actually.
Okay, so that's a regular,
super affordable. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it. Is it underground?
No. Well,
No?
I guess technically, yeah. I think, yeah, it is. I guess it is sub-ground level, but yeah, it's up there in Louisville, obviously. Louisville, Colorado, not Kentucky. And it's attached to this like family arcade place with all these old pinball machines and arcade games. And then you go down this little hallway and there's like a little venue back there. Holds 130. So
whoa, that's pretty big. And you've sold that out?
Now with Second Chance, we sold it out with I'm My Therapist's Favorite. Our first show, we had 65 people there, and about 15 of those, I think, were tickets I gave away just to try to fill seats.
Okay. So, how did you get those other 50 people to show up? Do you pay for ads?
Facebook ads?
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram ads. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know that those drove ticket sales?
Yeah,
food for them.
It definitely has an impact. It's hard because I use them all the time now for all our shows, and we've done about 40 of these shows now, and I use affiliate.
You're 2 years into comedy and you've run 40 shows.
I've actually technically run about 85 shows. I do some other shows at small venues that aren't Second Chance related. So I don't know. Like,
are you running like weekly?
Huh?
How many shows are you running a month? How many shows do you have in September that you're running?
So I've got 4 to 5 monthly shows on top of the Second Chance show. And they all just came to me, Mark. Like, it's so weird. Like, and this, I just got another one. Just somebody like that runs this place,
or a show?
Yeah, it's a place called Crave Barbecue, Hot Dogs and Barbecue up in Greeley, and they're like, they knew somebody that knew me, and they connected, and they're like, yeah, we want to do a comedy show here. I'm like, awesome. Okay,
you must do a really good job. Like, that happens when you in really all aspects of life, but in comedy, when you run shows and you run shows well, places will find you. and want to work with you?
I try really hard. I don't really subscribe to this idea of swapping spots with your buddies. Like, I really try to book people that I think are going to be funny. I mean, Mark, there's a lot of comedians that'll show up there and mess up your room. You tell them not to be vulgar. Even our first Second Chance show, we had somebody on there that spent 11 minutes talking about wanting to have anal sex with his wife, and it's just like, really, this is what we're doing here. But yeah, it's comedians like to mess up rooms. So it's like when you look at that list of Denver comics and you think, okay, who's funny, is cool to work with, is going to show up, and is not going to mess up the room. It's not a long list.
Yeah. Do you have a hard time getting folks to Louisville? Like, do you ever have a comic you want to book, but they like don't have a car or a reliable mode of transportation?
There's a few that I've run into. I booked. I do a monthly show in Superior, and there was a headliner I put on there that he's like, "Yeah, can I book my opener though, because I need a ride?"
Yeah.
So but I think.
What do you do in that situation? Did you say yes, or did you say I'll help you get? I'm going to book the person, but I'll help you get a ride?
Well, in this case, I said, well, I introduced him to somebody that I knew would be willing to do it and would see it as an opportunity to spend time with somebody that's been around for a while. And, I mean, if you're a comic that wants to go somewhere and you get a chance to ride in a car for a half hour with somebody that's been around, I think you'll take advantage of that. So,
I mean, that's half of my life is booking rides for comedians, mostly. And not just because they don't have good cars. I fly in a lot of comics. And so they just don't have a car in Denver. And it's I'm not paying enough always for it to make sense to rent a car. So I have to offer a ride, and it's easy to get it. I mean, there are plenty of comics who are happy to drive somebody else.
Yeah.
And then, like you were saying, if they're an accomplished comedian, like that's almost like a motivating factor. Like they're happy to do it because it's a value to them.
I had a cool opportunity. I was sitting at home, it was like a Friday or Saturday night, and I saw this Facebook thing for a sober show up in Fort Collins. And I'm like, oh, I guess I better go check this out, see what the competition's like. And so I got talking to this guy walking in, and he introduced me to the guy running the show who gave me a 7-minute guest spot on the show. And I was talking to this guy all night through the show, this other comedian that was going to be the headliner. And then after the show, people were coming up and asking for his autograph and getting their picture taken with him. Like, who is this guy? It's Rodney Norman. I don't know if you know him from out east. He's a pretty big comic out east. I mean, big enough that people were in, and I had no idea. And I was just hanging out, shooting the shit with them all night, So
that's awesome.
Sorry, can I swear on this?
It's fine. It doesn't really matter. Do you are you able to market tickets through meetings? Like, does that make
like through AA meetings and stuff?
Yeah, sure, or NA or whatever.
When I first started, I would go around. I'd print out flyers and I'd stop by some clubs and hang them up and stuff. But I don't know how much I was really getting from that, and it was a lot of work. So
do you ever go to Thick Skin in Denver on Monday nights?
I have not. I've got my kids Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays. So Mondays are hard for me to get out, but I want to go check it out.
Yeah, they
Mike
have
Stanley and
there's like a halfway house or something, and like 50
Hazelbrook.
People. Oh, you know it? Okay.
Yeah.
They're great audience members. They're incredible.
They came to one of our bug shows, and yeah, when I called them out at the opening of the show, they tore the roof off the place. They were so loud and so rowdy. They were great.
That's fun. That's cool. So how did they find your show? Did you reach out to them, or did they just Google for it? And
so I actually got a couple of people from different parts of Hazelbrook that came. And then one day I was actually I don't know if you're familiar with the Exposed show that they do at the Bug. It's
is it a nudity thing?
Josie Nixon. No, it's about like exposing, like it's basically storytelling, but the idea is that you share something. There's something screwed up that you did or something screwed up that happened to you. So it's a little bit of a vulnerable show, but there was an intermission and I was talking to somebody outside that I knew was in recovery. And I'm like, yeah, I run this show. And there was a poster right there outside the Bug. And I pointed to it. He's like, oh, you got to talk to Pete. I'm like, okay. So I went inside and there's this guy. I'm like, are you Pete? He said, yeah. I said, I'm Joe Huisman. I do this Second Chance Comedy. He's like, oh, you're Joe? He's like, oh, give me your number, man. I'm going to bring people to your shows. And so yeah, He's great. But yeah, that's the contact that I have over there, and he just brings groups of people to all kinds of events and stuff. So yeah,
that's so cool. Do you I mean, like, obviously your shows, there's no drinking at the shows, right?
So yeah, I mean, some venues serve alcohol, some don't. When I first started out, I was trying to find sober rooms, but it was really tough. The Bug lets us do a sober show there. They're super supportive. We do one every 3 months down there at the Bug, and but most rooms they do serve alcohol, and so I've just kind of accepted that.
The Bug, for people who are tuning in, it's like what, like 150 seater?
160, yeah.
160. Okay, yeah. So it's like an independent theater in close to downtown Denver, but a little bit outside of downtown Denver. A lot of comedians will rent it coming through. Do you sell well there?
We usually, I think every time we've had just over 100. The first show we did there was our second show ever, and I happened to get a 2-minute guest spot on a virtual interview with 9 News, and I think that contributed to it. But we sold that place out for our second show. We had about 160 people there. So
Joe,
it was amazing.
Can I? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but like, what from your personal past, aside from crack addiction, do you think makes you such an excellent show producer? Are you like, do you like, I don't know, work for the Broncos in media strategy, or what's going on?
So I wouldn't say I'm successful at this. I mean, I probably lose money on shows more than I make money.
Well, I mean, you're putting butts in seats. That's how we measure success. And you're making people happy and they're laughing.
Yeah. I mean, there almost always have been really great shows and the audiences have been fun. I think a couple of things. I mean, I've worked in a professional environment for the last 20 plus years. And I think that gave me a lot of just how to manage like in a professional sense. And I think that helped me just as a comedian getting on shows. But also a good friend of mine, I don't know if you know Andrea Vall, she runs Moms Unhinged. I knew her really well just through that time when she was starting to blow up. And so I was just kind of observing what she was doing and picking up a lot of just observational tips from watching her evolve that Moms Unhinged show. So that helped me out a lot.
Yeah. For anybody watching, Moms Unhinged is a very successful mother themed comedy show. And there is an episode where I talked to Andrea, VAHL, on Always Bookin Comedy, and you can find it in the list of 150 plus episodes that are out there.
Nice. So you've had her on before.
Yeah. And a great conversation. If you're interested in Facebook advertising, we talk about that a lot. And she's the smartest person I know in comedy at Facebook advertising.
And she's all over the country. Like, but yeah, that just like watching her and watching how she approached it all, I think really gave me a head start in a long.
Yeah. Have you thought, have you done a show outside of Colorado?
We did one in Gering, Nebraska last year. We're actually going back there on September 27th. We did the Laramie County Community College paid us to come up there and do a show in Cheyenne last year.
That's Wyoming for anybody bad.
Yeah, and those were the only ones outside of the state.
Okay, that's cool. Would you like to go farther, or are you kind of tethered to Colorado?
No, we're actually this week, we're Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're doing Pagosa Springs, Durango, and Grand Junction. So I'm pretty nervous about that because now we got to pay for hotels and travel and stuff. So we'll see how that goes.
How many comedians are on those shows?
Just 3 of us, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Are they all coming from the Denver area?
Yeah. So I don't know if you know Jeff Cohen. Yeah, you know Jeff Cohen.
Yeah,
he's the one that gave me your phone number. And Von Sprecken are going to be on those shows. So,
awesome. And you guys are all driving together?
Yeah, we'll ride down there. And then actually a small community college in Tennessee reached out to me. And they, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but if we can get that one, that would be a prepaid show. And I was thinking we could hit 1 or 2 venues on the way out and 1 or 2 on the way back and make a little tour of it. I thought.
Yeah. If you have any questions about that, I drove all the way to Virginia, went through Chattanooga, Tennessee, and drove all the way back. I did 10 nights. So hit me up offline.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I hope they get back to me because if that would almost make it so that it would be less risky to do the whole trip. So
yeah, that's exciting. So it sounds like most of your venues are already equipped for stage presentation, meaning they have like lights, sound, stage, etc. Do you run shows in kind of pop-up locations where you have to bring your own equipment?
I actually, it's another evolution, was trying to figure out. That's why Jeff gave me your phone number, was because I was trying to figure out lights. But yeah, I got a big 250-watt spotlight that can throw 150 feet. I've got two, where the Harbinger PA systems and stuff. So yeah, it's I've accumulated some equipment along the ways, and there are some venues.
You were saying that, I don't know if you said you had trouble finding sober venues, but you mentioned trying to find sober venues. I was just talking to another comedian about coffee shops, which I've run a lot of shows at coffee shops. And I just booked a new coffee shop, Castle Rock Comedy Show, everybody, castlerockcomedy.com. We're coming in September with Comedy Sellers, Alvin Kawhi, coming to Castle Rock, Colorado. Come check that out, downtown Castle Rock. That one actually has a bar, but every other coffee shop I've ever done a show in did not have a bar. And so I've run plenty of sober shows that were not recovery themed. It's just there wasn't alcohol at the venue. So,
how big are those places? Like, what's capacity?
Usually, my typical show is like 50 to 75 people.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll get up to like 100, depending on the venue. It's pretty rare for me to go, over 100. And if I do, it's maybe 125, 150. I'm not really pushing 200 almost ever.
That's the other shows that I do are anywhere between 25 to 75 people. Just a few random venues, just smaller shows, but those are hard to make money off of.
I mean, buddy, comedy is hard to make money.
Yeah, that's true. Entertainment is probably.
And it's I'm really I'm struggling with this recently, where bookers, we're trying to make some money, so we're trying to pay less. Comedians, on the flip side of the coin, they're trying to make some money, so they want to be paid more. And there's this inherent conflict between producers and comedians, and I'm both. I wear both hats. So as a comedian, I always want more money. As a booker, I always want to pay less money, and it's hard to, There's a very apt saying that's hilarious about running shows in comedy is a great way to make friends quickly and to lose friends over a long time.
Well, that's this new show that I got. I reached out to somebody and I'm like, hey, it's a 20-minute spot for $75. I know it's not great. And he's like, well, I don't know if I want to drive all the way to Greeley for that. It's like, well, that's fine, right? But this is what it is, and you're making more money than I'm making off this show. So and I'm doing all the work.
I try to remember, as long as I just tell people, look, it's totally cool to say no. This is the offer. Because in the Denver area, there are 300 comedians. There's somebody who would love to do 20 minutes for $75. So, just take it or leave it kind of thing.
Yeah, I had one headliner told me that, for $100, she wouldn't book a couple months out. But if she, if you need somebody last minute, I'm available, no problem. But she didn't want to take a spot and then get a better spot and have to back out, which I thought was respectable.
I'm in that boat now sometimes as well. I used to be I'd say yes to anything, but now it's is it Christmas time? Is it possible I could get $1,000 for a Christmas party? It is. So I'm going to, last Christmas, I said no to a show. This is a funny story I've told on here. I said no to a $50 show in Parker, ended up booking a $500 show that same night. 2 months later, thought I was a genius. Then 2 weeks out, got offered $1,000 to do a casino and had to turn it down. I had to say no because I had already committed. And I don't, a lot of comics will say no to gigs, but they'll cancel, but I don't want to be that comic. I want to be reliable.
Yeah. And then, going back to what you said about success, I think, starting out, I went to open mics all the time, and I would get there. I would introduce myself to the host. I'd put my name on the list. I would give a solid effort. I would hang out and watch the other comedians. I wouldn't talk over other comedians. I would try to be supportive and encouraging. And I think that level of professionalism, I think, helped for people to be like, yeah, Joe's a good enough guy. Let's get him on a show, and so that gave me a lot of opportunities on brewery shows and stuff like that.
That's great. So are you based in Denver or are you
up? Broomfield.
Broomfield. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Are there mics in Broomfield?
Not really right now. There used to be a couple up north. There was a Vision Quest mic and one at Tilt and stuff. Yeah. And, but those are all gone now. There is actually Pam Moore. What's that?
You would go down to Denver.
Yeah, I had a kind of, I mean, well, back then I was, Vision Quest Tilt on Thursday, and then I would do, what was the Friday? I can't remember what mic I was doing. Oh, Western Sky on Fridays, and then there was Howie's in Arvada on Saturdays, and so I hit those 4 for sure, and then maybe 1 or 2 on Wednesday. I got to get out to open mics. I think I got so comfortable doing shows with an audience that going to open mics is really hard now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're making quality stage time for yourself and you're getting up 4 or 5 times a month, it's I wouldn't say you have to do open mics, but it is, there's a networking component, there's a community involvement component. You're not wrong to be motivated to do that.
I'd say on average, I'm getting up about probably 10 times on shows a month, probably 8 to 10 times. So getting plenty of stage time.
Yeah. All right. So we got to start winding this down. Any lessons for anybody who wants to run a recovery show? Any tips?
For recovery show?
Can you define a recovery show?
Yeah. So, I mean, really the idea of the show is that the people are sharing stories about their past addiction or how addiction impacted their life. One of the women on the show, she grew up around addiction. And so she speaks about it from that perspective. But there's a lot of shows out there that might be a sober show or it might support a sober cause, but they're not themed around that. And that's what I'm trying to do with this show is have people that are sharing real stories about addiction. Is that people, I mean, some of the feedback we've gotten from people that are in recovery that have come to our shows has just been, heartwarming and touching. So do
you have a brand? Like, is there a name for your shows?
Yeah, Second Chance Comedy.
Okay, Second Chance. Is it like secondchancecomedy.com? Is that a thing
Yep.
that exists? Okay,
spelled out. Second is spelled out.
Yeah, SECOND. CHANSE.
Yeah. Secondchancecomedy.com. Yep.
Misspelled chance. Comedy.com. Amazing. Anything else you want to share as we wind this down? How can people find you?
I mean, secondchancecomedy.com is the best way to find us. We're going to start branching out. We do some prepaid shows. We do shows all over Colorado. But yeah, that's the best way to find me, through that website. And you asked if there's any tips. I would say if anybody's getting into stand-up comedy, the one thing I would tell anybody starting out is it's a grind. It's a grind. You go out there and you work 4, 6, 8 mics a week, and you just keep working and writing and try to work your way up somehow. So
awesome, Joe. Thanks for hopping on a holiday. Everybody will be back next Monday. Always Bookin Comedy. Always here on Monday. Stick around for a second, Joe. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you need a recovery show, Joe is your guy. Secondchancecomedy.com. Anywhere in the country, you heard it from him. Continental United States, reach out. We'll see you next time, everybody. Happy